Most people lose a man twice. The first time is when the relationship ends. The second time is when they spend months chasing a version of him that no longer exists. They replay old conversations, study every message, stalk every social media update, and convince themselves that one perfect text will bring everything back. But power never belongs to the person who is chasing. Power belongs to the person who understands human nature better than everyone else. This is the lesson most people learn too late. The harder you try to hold someone, the faster they slip away. The more you explain your value, the less valuable you appear. And the more desperate you become for an answer, the more control you hand over to someone else. Machiavelli understood something that still rules relationships today. People are not moved by logic as much as they are moved by emotion, curiosity, scarcity, and self-interest. A man who seemed certain yesterday can become confused tomorrow. A man who ignored you for weeks can suddenly wonder where you went. And sometimes the very thing that helps you get him back is the same thing that helps you forget him completely. That is why this video is different. These are not the usual tips about sending sweet messages or waiting for fate to fix everything. These are strange, unexpected, and surprisingly effective psychological moves. Some of them may bring him back. Others may make you realize you never needed him in the first place. Either outcome is a victory, because the true goal is not getting a man. The true goal is getting your power back. Once you have that, every decision becomes easier. You stop begging for attention. You stop fearing rejection. You stop treating one person like the source of your happiness. And when that happens, something interesting occurs. The people who ignored you start noticing you. The people who left start wondering about you. And the person who felt impossible to replace no longer seems so important. So before you send another message, before you spend another night overthinking, and before you give away another piece of your peace, listen carefully. These 13 weird methods are not magic tricks. They are lessons in influence, self-control, and human behavior. By the end, you may get him back, or you may get something far more valuable. Freedom. The first weird way is to become difficult to read. Most people become completely predictable after a breakup. They are sad every day, available every hour, and emotionally exposed at every moment. The man knows exactly what they are thinking because they show everything. This destroys mystery. Human beings are naturally curious about what they cannot fully understand. When someone becomes easy to predict, attention fades. When someone becomes harder to read, attention grows. This does not mean playing childish games. It means refusing to put your entire emotional world on display. If he checks your profile, he should not immediately know whether you are suffering, healing, thriving, or planning your next chapter. Uncertainty creates questions. Questions create attention. Attention creates influence. Machiavelli knew that complete transparency often weakens a person's position. A little mystery keeps people engaged. When he no longer has full access to your thoughts, he is forced to imagine them. And imagination is often stronger than reality. The second weird way is to stop trying to win every memory. After a breakup, many people become lawyers of the past. They collect evidence to prove they were right. They replay every argument. They prepare speeches that explain why the other person made mistakes. But winning the memory rarely wins the person. In fact, it often keeps both people trapped. The more energy you invest in proving your innocence, the less energy you invest in building your future. A stronger move is to let the past lose importance. Not because you were wrong, but because your future matters more than your old battles. When a man sees that you are no longer obsessed with rewriting history, he notices something unusual. You have stopped fighting for a courtroom victory and started building a better life. That shift changes your energy. It changes your confidence. And confidence is far more attractive than endless arguments. The third weird way is to create a life that does not need an audience. Many people secretly perform their healing. Every achievement becomes a message directed at the ex. Every photo becomes a signal. Every success becomes a hidden attempt to be noticed. But there is a problem. When your growth is designed for someone's attention, you remain emotionally dependent on their reaction. True power begins when your actions are no longer a performance. Go to the gym because you want strength. Learn a skill because you want growth. Travel because you want experience. Build your future because it belongs to you. The strange thing is that real independence is often more noticeable than intentional attention-seeking. People can sense the difference. One feels forced, the other feels genuine. And genuine confidence has a gravity that pulls attention naturally. The fourth weird way is to break the pattern he expects. Every relationship creates routines. Every breakup creates routines too. Maybe he expects you to text first. Maybe he expects emotional reactions. Maybe he expects long explanations. Expectations create comfort, and comfort often creates boredom. When you suddenly stop following the script, people notice. The goal is not manipulation. The goal is freedom from predictable behavior. If someone can predict every move you make, they hold a psychological advantage. The moment you begin making choices based on your own interests rather than their expectations, that advantage disappears. Now they are the one trying to understand what changed. And the person asking questions is rarely the one holding power. The fifth weird way is to become emotionally expensive. Most people understand the value of money, but very few understand the value of emotional access. When something is available at any time, people often take it for granted. When something requires effort, respect grows. This is why constantly being available after a breakup usually works against you. Every late-night reply, every instant response, and every emotional rescue mission teaches the other person a simple lesson. They can have your attention whenever they want. Machiavelli understood that value increases when access becomes limited. This does not mean being cruel. It means understanding that your time, energy, and emotions are resources. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to them. If he reaches out, respond from a position of self-respect, not desperation. Let your attention be something earned, not something automatically given. The moment you start treating your emotional energy like something valuable, other people begin to treat it that way too. The sixth weird way is to improve the parts of your life he never cared about. Most people focus on the areas their ex noticed. They improve their appearance, post better photos, and try to become more attractive in visible ways. But the deeper transformation happens in places nobody expected. Learn about business, improve your finances, build discipline, strengthen your mind, develop skills that make your future stronger. Why is this powerful? Because it shifts your focus away from approval and toward capability. Approval depends on other people. Capability belongs to you. A person who becomes more capable gains confidence that cannot be taken away by rejection. And confidence built through achievement is far more stable than confidence built through attention. Whether he returns or not, you become a stronger version of yourself. That is a victory no breakup can steal. The seventh weird way is to let silence do some of the work. Most people fear silence because they believe every empty space must be filled. They think they must explain, defend, persuade, or convince. But silence has a strange power. It forces people to face their own thoughts. When you constantly communicate, you control the conversation. When you become silent, the other person often starts having conversations inside their own mind. They begin wondering what you are doing. They start replaying memories. They question decisions they once felt certain about. Of course, silence alone is not magic. It only works when it is supported by genuine growth and self-respect. Silent suffering is weakness. Silent progress is strength. One keeps you trapped, the other moves you forward. And when someone senses that you are moving forward without needing their validation, they often become more curious than they expected. The eighth weird way is to stop making him the prize. This may be the hardest lesson of all. After a breakup, people often place the other person on a pedestal. They treat the relationship as if it were the greatest opportunity they will ever have. They begin acting like their future happiness depends on one individual's decision. This creates a dangerous imbalance. Machiavelli believed that power shifts when one side believes they have no alternatives. The moment you act as if one person is your only path to happiness, you surrender leverage. Ask yourself a different question. Instead of wondering whether he deserves another chance with you, start wondering whether he would even qualify for the life you are building now. This is not arrogance. It is perspective. Relationships should be mutual evaluations, not one-sided auditions. The healthiest position is not trying to prove your worth. It is calmly recognizing your worth and allowing others to rise or fall against that standard. The ninth weird way is to become less emotionally reactive. Human beings reveal a lot about themselves through their reactions. Some people can be controlled simply by triggering predictable emotions. A single message ruins their day. A single social media post changes their mood. A single memory destroys their focus. When your emotions are controlled by external events, your power becomes fragile. Machiavelli admired self-control because it makes a person difficult to manipulate. This does not mean becoming cold or emotionless. It means creating a small space between what happens and how you respond. In that space, wisdom grows. Instead of reacting immediately, observe. Instead of chasing answers, gather information. Instead of assuming the worst, stay calm. Emotional discipline changes everything. It helps you make better decisions. It protects your dignity. And it prevents temporary feelings from creating permanent mistakes. The 10th weird way is to become surprisingly happy without closure. Many people postpone their happiness while waiting for answers. They believe they need one final conversation, one perfect apology, or one clear explanation before they can move on. But life rarely provides perfect endings. Sometimes people leave questions unanswered. Sometimes stories end abruptly. Sometimes the explanation never arrives. If your happiness depends on closure, you hand control of your future to someone else's choices. A stronger approach is learning to move forward despite uncertainty. Accept that some chapters end without complete understanding. Accept that some lessons arrive without explanations. The person who learns to live well without closure becomes extremely powerful. Why? Because they are no longer trapped by unfinished business. They stop waiting. They stop chasing. They stop negotiating with the past. And once they stop, the future finally has room to enter. The 11th weird way is to stop collecting emotional evidence. After a breakup, many people become detectives. They search for clues everywhere. They analyze every view, every like, every story update, every delayed reply, and every small change in behavior. They believe the next clue will finally reveal the truth. But the truth is often much simpler. The more energy you spend investigating someone else's actions, the less energy you spend improving your own life. Machiavelli understood that attention is one of the most valuable resources a person possesses. Where attention goes, power follows. If all your attention is focused on him, then your power follows him as well. The moment you redirect that attention toward your goals, your habits, your future, and your personal growth, the balance begins to change. You stop being a spectator in someone else's story and become the main character in your own. And strangely enough, people often notice you more when you stop watching them. The 12th weird way is to become comfortable with losing. This sounds strange because most people think confidence comes from certainty. In reality, confidence often comes from acceptance. When you are terrified of losing someone, fear controls your behavior. You become cautious, needy, and willing to sacrifice your standards just to avoid rejection. But when you accept that loss is a natural part of life, something changes. Fear loses its grip. You stop making decisions from panic. You stop treating every disagreement like a disaster. You stop begging for things that should be freely given. Machiavelli knew that people who fear loss too much become easy to control. The person who can survive loss becomes difficult to manipulate. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop acting from fear. You understand that even if someone leaves, your life continues. Your future remains. Your opportunities remain. Your value remains. And when you truly believe that, you carry yourself differently. You speak differently. You make decisions differently. Strength appears where fear once lived. The 13th and final weird way is to become the person who benefits either way. Most people create a single winning condition. They think, I only win if he comes back. This mindset guarantees suffering, because your happiness depends on something outside your control. A wiser strategy is creating two winning outcomes. If he comes back and proves through actions that he deserves another chance, you win. If he never comes back and you continue building a stronger, happier, more successful life, you also win. This mindset changes everything. It removes desperation. It removes panic. It removes the feeling that your future is hanging by a thread. Instead of chasing one outcome, you build a life that succeeds under multiple outcomes. That is real power. Real power is not forcing people to stay. Real power is knowing that your future remains bright, whether they stay or leave. And this brings us to the biggest lesson, hidden inside all 13 methods. None of them are truly about getting him back. They are about getting yourself back. The version of you that existed before anxiety took over. The version of you that had dreams beyond one relationship. The version of you that did not need constant reassurance to feel valuable. Relationships are important, but they should never become the center of your identity. The moment one person becomes your entire world, you give them power they were never meant to have. A healthy relationship is not two people clinging to each other out of fear. It is two strong individuals choosing each other, while still remaining complete on their own. Many people spend years trying to recover a lost relationship when they should be recovering themselves. They chase old memories instead of creating new opportunities. They search for validation from someone else instead of building confidence from within. And in doing so, they miss the most important transformation available to them. The breakup was never just an ending. It was also a test of your self-respect, a test of your emotional discipline, a test of whether you would allow one chapter to define the entire story of your life. Remember this: the person who desperately needs an outcome becomes weak. The person who prepares for every outcome becomes powerful. If he returns, greet the situation with wisdom, not desperation. If he never returns, continue moving forward with confidence, not bitterness. Either way, refuse to make your happiness dependent on someone else's decision. Because at the end of the day, the greatest revenge is not making someone regret losing you. The greatest victory is becoming so fulfilled, so disciplined, and so focused that whether they regret it or not no longer matters. That is the moment you stop chasing power and start possessing it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more lessons on power, psychology, strategy, and human nature. Leave a comment below and tell us which of these 13 methods surprised you the most. And if you think someone needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Until next time, remember, never hand your power to people who have not earned it.